So my name is Julie Thomas, and I've actually been in the Grants Pass area on and off since the 70s. So I've been here a really long time, had a great opportunity to kind of grow up here, and we've seen a lot of changes over the years, but it's an amazing, amazing, safe and beautiful community. So I just love it. PATH stands for Partners Assisting the Homeless, and it's a little bit misleading, but we'll just call it PATH. And about a year and a half ago, a bunch of people all got together and realized that what we were doing in relation to homelessness in our community was not working. And we were under an injunction so that police officers could no longer do their job as they were able to before Measure 110 passed, so it was no longer an enforceable offense to be in possession of methamphetamine, fentanyl, heroin, et cetera, et cetera. So our hands started getting tied, at the same time having a housing crisis. And so more and more people, particularly after the pandemic, more and more people were on the streets, more and more people in our parks. And the community got to the point where even local government is like, there's nothing we can do. And that was the end of every conversation. That's not okay, right? Because then it just got worse and worse. And it's not safe for people sleeping in the parks. It's not safe for people living on the streets, especially young people and elderly and disabled people. So about a year and a half ago, this group of just eclectic people came together and said, let's start the conversation. Let's see what we can do about it. I got recruited to be part of the conversation. And I said, yes, I want to be part of the solution. I don't know how to fix it, don't know what to do, but I want to be part of the solution. So I ultimately ended up being the president. I missed a meeting, I think is how that happened. I became the president. And our number one goal, and I don't have our mission statement memorized, but I'll get it to you. But our number one goal is to work with community partners to collaborate on impacting everything related to homelessness. So whether it's addiction, whether it's mental illness, whether it's housing, lack of housing, whether it's lack of education or jobs, disability, domestic violence, whatever that is. And it's a multifaceted problem with multifaceted solutions, right? And so we couldn't just focus on one thing. So PATH is really expanded, and it's all grassroots, all volunteer, very diverse group of people from all different walks of life that all have the same common goal. This is our community. We want it safe for everybody, and what we're doing isn't working, so we need to go do it better. And so we have a subcommittee that's specifically working just on housing. We have another group that's just working on mental illness and addiction because they're so closely related now. So many people are mentally ill due to their drug use and vice versa. So that's really a conversation that has to be had together, and multiple areas that we're working at any given time. We found early on that there was a lot of nonprofits in the community that were tasked and funded to deal with these issues, but we weren't seeing any sustainable change. We weren't seeing the results. So we set out early on to actually meet with every local nonprofit that had anything to do with these issues to say, what's your funding for? What's your client base? What services do you provide? What's working, what's not working, and how can we help? So our goal was after we realized there was such a huge gap in many of these organizations, that our goal was then to figure out where the gaps are and then fill the gap. Fill the gap with volunteers, fill the gap with expertise, fill the gap with advocacy for a particular organization that's getting people off the streets and into treatment. Anything that we could do. And because we're grassroots and we don't ask for funding, we're not even a 501c3 because we don't want to compete with others on funding. We don't need it. We're people power, right? And so that's where we come in. And we can work with anybody and everybody. Next week, we're putting together 11 backpacks for kids, homeless kids, so that they can be in school and have everything that they want. We just helped another nonprofit move 11 families into their first apartments, brand new apartments. And these families have really struggled, and many of them years of homelessness or years of addiction or violence, whatever. And these organizations are making sure those kids are going to school and making sure these families have a good roof over their head and helping them with learning parenting and learning budgeting and nutrition, all those kinds of things. So we work with local organizations to support their efforts, not to duplicate, but to fill a gap, help them to meet their mission. We have organizations working with mental illness. We have people with that expertise on PATH, but we don't need to do that. They're doing that. So what can't they do? What's bogging them down? And that's where we spend the time and the energy. And the other thing we set out to do is virtually none of the organizations were working together. They're duplicating services, they're working really hard, and they're meaning well, but they're not making sustainable change. So they're constantly swimming up this waterfall, gulping water, and wondering why they're not getting to the top. And so what we've done with PATH is to bridge those community partners and those resources together to start the conversations. And we meet every month, and we invite all of our community partners. They all share what they're doing, what they're working on, what needs they have. And every single month, somebody will come up and say, I have a single mom, just got out of a violent relationship. She's safe, but she's homeless. Somebody will come up and go, our organization could do that. Our organization has housing. Our organization can help them get into treatment. That's what we're here for. And it's fluid and it can change at any time. All we want to do is make sure that our community is as safe as possible for everybody. It's huge now that the injunction is being lifted. It's huge now that there's revisions to Measure 110 so that there will be, we still have to have that enforcement piece, and we still need the nonprofit piece, we need the church piece, we need all of that. So I think we're getting to see really significant change and sustainable solutions happening every day that a year and a half ago, maybe we didn't. So that's PATH. If somebody wanted to get involved in PATH, this would be the best way. You can show up to one of our PATH general meetings. It's the fourth Tuesday of every month in the City Council chambers right downtown, and from 3:30 to 5, and you'll get an opportunity to hear what PATH is doing, get to hear what other community partners are doing to impact everything homeless and addiction and mental illness and kids and whatever, and find ways to be able to get involved. You'll have volunteer opportunities, you'll find out about giving opportunities, ways to get involved in one of our subcommittees. If you have expertise in real estate or expertise in mental illness or expertise as a mentor of children, there's a place for everybody in our community in PATH. And you can also look us up on our website at pathofjoco.org. We also have an email address if you want to reach out, pathofjoco@gmail.com. Absolutely. In fact, one of the things that we realized early on in meeting with the different nonprofits, everybody had a community resource list that they were drawing from, and virtually none of them were up to date. Virtually none of them were complete. And so we thought, you know what? They're all so busy just doing the job. They don't have time to get these lists up to date. So we've just put together the most comprehensive, updated community resource list for our community, for every local nonprofit, every local church, the city, the county, schools, anybody can use. And it's like, we need shelter information, we need food information, we need housing information. And you can go directly to those organizations with the website. The list is going to be on our website this afternoon, I think. It's also going to be printed out widely for anybody, and we're going to keep up that list every month or so. So if there's any changes. So that's another way, is we want to make sure that anybody wants to get involved, anybody who's serving the community in this way, to get on that list, become one of our community partners. There's no commitment except to participate once a month in the meetings, let us know what you're doing and where we can help. And also, if you want to be on a subcommittee, feel free to do that. Very little extra time commitment. But I think by doing that, people can focus on what they do best and not duplicate services, so that we have a much greater impact, and we're already seeing the difference in that. We have 2 camps. We have a lot of camps, but 2 main camps. One camp is, these people are really hurting, they're in our parks, they're on the street, they're really struggling. We need to do whatever we can to make them as comfortable as possible. Food, tents, sleeping bags, Narcan, because if they're using, to try and save their lives. There's that camp. And there's the other camp that said, oh, heck no. No, people need to work for a living. People need to not be sleeping in our parks. People need to get off the streets. People need to go into treatment. And those who are a danger to themselves or others need to go to jail, et cetera, et cetera. And so we've got these 2 camps, and unfortunately, they're very diverse. It's nationwide, obviously, so we're no different. It's very diverse. But what we've been able to do is take both those camps and say, yeah, but what we're doing is not working. We need to work together, because one camp can't fix it, and the other camp can't fix it. But if we come together to fix it, then we can hit it from all sides at any given time. So when we say partners assisting the homeless, we hear the other camp go, great, what are you doing? You're giving them more tents that they're just going to destroy. You're giving them more sleeping bags that they're going to urinate and defecate in. You're letting them stay in our parks because you're feeding them every day, but there's needles everywhere and the kids can't use the park. So it's misleading in that regard because even though we support all efforts, right, that's not our goal. Our goal is not to, Maslow's hierarchy of needs said everybody has to have food, water, air to breathe, and shelter, right? So we know that has to happen. We're not equipped to do that. Others are equipped to do that. We're equipped to say, look at the bigger picture and say, okay, yeah, you're right. We want our parks back. We want our community back. We want our public spaces back. But we also want people housed. We want people in treatment. We want people healthy. We want kids in school. We want all this stuff working. And the only way to do it is for us to work together to make that happen. So I prefer to call the path from then to there. And that's what we're shooting for. That's what PATH is looking for, is the bigger picture.